All right, three things in 3 minutes. Let's get it. So, we all know that a child can buy a home for their parents to live in. But what if I told you most people don't understand the real hidden hack deep in the lending guidelines? There's a Fannie Mae rule that allows a child to buy a home for their parent with as little as 5% down and still qualify for primary residence pricing. Here's how it works. As long as the parent can show that they don't have enough income to qualify on their own, the child can step in as the buyer, even if they're not living there. So the child just has to show enough income to qualify for the mortgage as normal, and they get the same interest rate and loan options as if they were moving in. The best part? This isn't just for single family homes. This strategy works for 2, 3, 4 units. It's a multifamily strategy as well. So imagine your clients house hacking a duplex, putting their parent in one unit, renting out the other, while locking in primary residence rates and low down payment. It's all right there in the Fannie Mae rulebook, section B2, 101, if you want to dig in. If you're working with multi-generational families or kids who want to support mom and dad or just move someone closer to their kids, this move may save them thousands. 2, I love Phil Jones. His book, Exactly What to Say, is one I read at least once a year, and it's packed with simple, powerful phrases that unlock better conversation. There's one line that I use almost every day, and the line is, would you be open-minded about? Here's how it works. Phil says, if you ask 1,000 people if they're open-minded, 900 will say yes. Why? Because nobody wants to be seen as closed-minded. The phrase creates instant psychological momentum. So instead of saying something like, do you want to look at this next house even though it's above your budget? Maybe you say something like, how open-minded are you about looking at something that could be perfect, but a little bit over your budget? It feels softer, it feels respectful, and it gets results. The framing can work with pretty much any sales conversation. For example, would you be open-minded to using a trusted local lender? Would you be open-minded to reducing your asking price? Would you be open-minded to accepting a slightly lower offer if it means a clean, fast closing? I use this with agents. I use this with buyers. I use this with sellers. I use this with my wife. I use this with everybody. Try it. You'll be amazed what happens when you ask someone if they're open-minded. And finally, the Fed met this week and they kept the federal funds rate unchanged. Remember, the Fed does not set mortgage rates directly, but they can influence rates as they set monetary policy for the country. So Jerome Powell said, we're well positioned to wait. He wants to monitor inflation and the economic impact of tariffs. So translation, no cuts yet, but they're leaving the door open. The latest dot plot shows that most Fed officials still expect 2 rate cuts later this year, assuming inflation stays under control. But some members are now signaling they don't see any cuts coming. What matters most to your clients? Well, mortgage rates have dipped slightly over the last month. We've seen 30-year fixed rates slide from around 7.1% to around 6.8% over the last few weeks. While this is only about a third of 1% improvement, remember the National Association of Realtors says that for every 1% dip in rates, we get 3 to 5 million new American homeowners, or home buyers, jumping into the market. All right, y'all got this.